Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon highlight poor governance, continuous use of military force, and what they qualify as stubbornness of administrative authorities as major causes of the continuous killings, destruction of properties, abductions, and other atrocities in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And the bishops of Cameroon are expressing concerns over the worsening situation of those trapped in between bullets coming from separatists and military guns in the two English-speaking regions of the country. In the meantime, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, has urged parents in the northwest region and by extension those in the southwest region, the two English-speaking regions of the country hit by security tensions, to go into the bushes and convince their children to drop their guns and come back to the normal life trend so that peace and normalcy can return to the crisis-stricken regions. Those were top stories. Once more, thank you for joining us on this edition of the news. Opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon are pointing an accusing finger on poor governance and, of course, what they qualify as the stubbornness of administrative authorities and the continuous use of military force in efforts to restore peace and normalcy in the crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions as the causes or the major causes of the continuous killings, abduction, and destruction of properties in those two regions. They were speaking on the program Droit de Réponse on Equinoxe Television over the weekend, and those of the ruling CPDM, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement political party, are pointing their fingers to separatist fighters, civilians carrying guns in the bushes, and saying that according to them, they are the cause of the continuous bloodshed in the two English-speaking regions of the country. The views were confronted on the program Droit de Réponse, as reports Innocent Azi.
Thought 2021 will see the armed conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions getting healed, but the reverse is true. Escalation with blame on several factors.
It is the bad governance put in place, the arrogance of the regime, the failure of the regime putting in place a military option in resolving a political crisis that is causing all of this. We have a regime that has given a deaf ear to all what has been proposed to it, and that is the truth. And until we know that or we put that in place, we'll fight this war even for 10 to 20 years, and that is what the regime wants. But let's have compassion for the innocent souls who are falling.
Barrister Lavoisier Tapi of the SCF also highlights continuous military option to resolve a political crisis and poor governance over a true dialogue.
Tant que le pouvoir n'accepte pas qu'il s'agit d'une crise de gouvernance.
If government refuses to consider the origin of the crisis stems from bad governance, this crisis will continue.
Les anglophones revendiquent.
Anglophones do not want to be assimilated by the Biya regime with the Francophone system, reason why they want a change on form of the state, whereby they will have powers to choose their leaders.
Pour assimiler les anglophones à la francophonie. Ils refusent ça.
Professor Masanga Nyamding of the CPDM party criticizes opinions of barristers Stamford Richards and Lavoisier Tapi.
The Anglophone crisis is the problem of neocolonialism. C'est l'État qui doit déposer les armes, même en droit international.
He says it is ridiculous to say the state military has to drop down arms when territorial integrity of the nation is at stake with separatist threats.
Moi, je condamne cela.
The military, he says, plays its role so well. Force should not be sabotaged.
Je ne voudrais pas qu'on discrédite cette armée.
Cameroon is a sovereign state, and the Anglophones are always represented by a prime minister, either from the northwest or southwest region.
Sont des anglophones.
To me, there is an Anglophone problem, but nothing like marginalization.
Anglophones, mais les anglophones ne sont pas marginalisés. C'est deux choses différentes.
To the ruling party, reasons explain continuation of the attacks and killings.
Avec des grands bandits qu'on appelle.
They had separatist leaders with all unscrupulous and bloody determination to dissect Cameroon. Complicity of some political parties for their political interests and gains. Existence of a network constituting persons who traffic petroleum products, arms, drugs and many others to enrich themselves.
Et tout ce que vous connaissez, mais ça fait leur affaire.
On the subject of external mediators to Cameroon, like Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Secretary of State for the Vatican, the panelists express hope this will give hope for end of the crisis.
If international pressure is what the regime listens, I welcome it, because all what I want is that peace should be able to return to those 2 regions.
The SDF is indifferent.
L'envoyé du pape va venir.
Oui, le président est...
Nous sommes soucieux de ce que le problème anglophone soit résolu.
Even the CPDM communicator hails external mediation moves.
Les médiations sont bonnes.
Every attention is now tilted to the Catholic Church authorities' arrival to Cameroon, with expectations his words will serve as right remedy to the decayed wound suffered by the country's 2 English-speaking regions.
And despite efforts of administrative and municipal authorities to arrest the ghost in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country, so to speak, the ghost is still running on the streets, and Ghost Town is persisting. We give you the picture of Limbe in the southwest region with our correspondent Davidson Maimon. This report.
Monday, economic activities in the seaside resort city of Limbe almost paralyzed, as it is the traditional ghost town day in the 2 English-speaking regions of Cameroon, forcefully put in place by separatists. Across the various neighborhoods, including the heart of the city, taxis can be counted, except for a handful of commercial motorbikes that are in circulation. Stores at the main market and other business places are shut down. However, inside the old market, there is a little bit of life, with a handful of business persons selling perishable goods. Though a tense atmosphere following the burning of road construction equipment last week behind the Middle Farms Training Stadium, plus messages on social media calling for a boycott as far as Shan matches are concerned, there is total calm throughout the city and the division as a whole, as a defense and security element, with instruction from FACO administration, are placed in strategic locations within the division to puncture any move from separatists. It should be noted that Limbe, hosting Group D matches of the ongoing African Championship Cup Shan, shall have the first matches played on Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021, with Zambia to take on Tanzania and Guinea to challenge Namibia in the second encounter.
And bishops of the Roman Catholic Church, those in the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, are expressing concerns over the worsening situation of those trapped in the midst of bullets in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country. And this is one of the major issues that were on the table during the last annual conference of bishops of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, which took place in Bafang in the Opankam Division West region of Cameroon. For me, Armstrong Standard report.
Under the chairmanship of His Lordship Abraham Kome, Bishop of Bafang and President of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, the 44th annual seminar of bishops of Cameroon, held under the theme, The National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon and Its Future, a theme that permitted the bishops to review some major happenings within their midst, like the recent appointment of new bishops to the Diocese of Buea and Zika. The men of God could not be silent on the suffering of Cameroonians caught in conflict-hit regions.
Furthermore, he expressed the deep compassion of the bishops of Cameroon towards all the families affected by the armed conflicts in the extreme north, northwest, and southwest regions.
Although the main task of the seminar was meant to deepen the study on the theme, inspired by an initial seminar in Obala, the bishops took out time to listen to an expose on fraternity, the most recent encyclical of Pope Francis, presented by Father Augustine Mesomo of the Catholic University of Central Africa, Yaoundé.
Published the encyclical Fratelli Tutti, in which he emphasized on universal brotherhood. And we think that if there is war, fighting, crisis everywhere, it's because of the lack of brotherhood. And we think that as bishops of Cameroon, we have to emphasize on brotherhood, first within the families, within our cities, within our dioceses, and within the country. We are all brothers and sisters, and we have to protect the life of each other.
Every day during the seminar, Holy Mass was celebrated.
The bishops received with deep joy the news from the Apostolic Nuncio of the visit to Cameroon by the Vatican Secretary of State, His Eminence Cardinal Pietro Parolin, from 28 January to 3rd February 2021. They equally rejoiced at the news of the appointment by Pope Francis of His Grace Archbishop Samuel Cleda as a member of the dicastery for promoting integral human development.
The next annual seminar will take place in Gaoundéré from the 8th to the 15th of January 2022.
The Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, says that the security situation in the northwest region of the country is under control. He was speaking in a security meeting in the northwest regional capital, Bamenda, today, and he indicated that the situation is being handled by the administration and other persons who are helping the government in resolving the Anglophone crisis. The Minister of Territorial Administration, speaking during that security meeting, urged parents to come on board and help government to restore peace and normalcy in the two English-speaking regions of the country. He told the parents to go into the bushes and convince their children who are carrying guns to drop the guns and come out of the bushes and return to the normal life trend and be received in DDR, disarmament, demobilization and reintegration centers created by the government, and be reinserted into the normal life trend. The minister said that it is time to stop the game, what he qualifies as the game of bloodshed, the game of destruction in the two English-speaking regions of the country. And he said that the military is doing its job, the administration also, to restore peace and normalcy in those two regions. But there is still resistance on the part of pro-independence fighters. Take a listen to the Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul.
Of resistance coming from the terrorists and secessionists, but it is obvious that the security situation in the region is totally under control. And sooner or later, the pockets of resistance will be neutralized. We have been playing these games for too long, and it is not more time for us to be playing the games. Let us go out and tell these children, come out of the bushes. You have no future in the bushes. This is a war you can never win, because President Paul Biya has won this war against secessionists and terrorists, but has given an opportunity for the ex-combatants to come back and resettle as responsible Cameroonians with all the opportunities to live a convenient life. So the forces of law and order and the administrative authorities have done their own part of the job. That is why things are coming back to normalcy. But with the pockets of resistance, the parents must go back into the bushes telling their children to come out because they have no future in the bushes. I think that with the special status given to the Northwest and the Southwest regions and the House of Chiefs, that is a clear opportunity, a wonderful opportunity that President Paul has given all of us, so that we should put our hands in this process of nation building, which can only be carried out peacefully, sincerely, with all sense of purpose, under the guidance of President Paul Biya, who knows this country better than any one of us. President Paul Biya has given a special grant to the city mayor of Bamenda so that he can buy more buses and ease the circulation of the population.
Minister Tanganji Paul speaking there during a security meeting in the Northwest Regional Chief Town, Bamenda, and also speaking to us shortly after that meeting, the minister, or rather the Bamenda City Mayor, Chombong Paul, highlighted his efforts to solve the problem of ghost town, to put an end to the ghost town phenomenon in the town of Bamenda. Take a listen to him.
The administrative areas as well as from the commercial areas of Bamenda. I can tell you ever since then, there's never been a day that the market has been shut down because of shooting in the air as it used to be the case before. I can equally assure you that the number of kidnappings and seizure of property in broad daylight has greatly reduced. I can equally tell you with all confidence that the Bamenda people thought from the very beginning that withdrawing the bike was something not so good. But later on, I've had a lot of approval from the population and support from the population for this very act. And I tell you that things are improving. It may be slowly, gradually, but surely things are getting better.
It is feared that the instruction of the Minister of the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, instructing governors in all the 10 regions of the country to officially install officials of the regional institutions, the Assembly and the House of Chiefs in the 2 English-speaking regions and the regional councils in the other 8 regions could raise some conflicts on grounds that, according to some observers, the minister's instructions violates the decentralization law putting in place those regional institutions. Derek Jato has more from Boya.
Since activities leading to the African Football Championship CHAN began in the Southwest region, one of the key sectors involved, but have remained, if not silent, lukewarm, is the tourism sector, despite the very fact that this sector is supposed to generate.
The 2021 budget for the Southwest region stands at 23,382,234,949 francs CFA. For 4 years now, this region has been in war, and the budget is expected to be executed in the same security context. And the authorities are pleading with civil servants to keep expenses for better realization.
We are encouraging stakeholders in our presentations to do everything to streamline the payroll of the state, to streamline excess expenditure and safeguard resources so that the state can better accompany all these procedures.
Coming after the region witnessed the putting in place of its maiden regional council, Southwest Governor Benato Kaliabilai reminded his collaborators that a state remains a state with all its functional norms in place.
The Southwest region as a region and as a collectivity with a regional executive is there. They will have their own responsibility. They will have their own share of credit to run for local affairs. The state continues to function. The state has its own project. So there is no specific budget for the region, but they are credit, transfer credit.
The budget for the Southwest region for 2021 has witnessed an increase as compared to that of 2020, and the population, direct beneficiaries are expected to see more projects realized at the end of 2021.
That was Radha Derijato reporting there from Boya on the 2021 state budget for the Southwest region. Now we come back to the letter of the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development instructing the governors of the 10 regions of the country to officially install the regional officials of the regional assemblies and House of Chiefs in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country and the regional councils in the other 8 regions. There are fears that this decision could raise some concerns and conflicts on grounds that, according to some observers, the letter of the minister violates the decentralization law putting in place those institutions. Derijato.
Even those who are not comfortable with the present political dispensation in the country can confess at any time that today regional councils are now the famous special status for the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions came as one of the major resolutions of the major national dialogue to solve a crisis that has taken thousands of lives and still counting in the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. The regional elections came and passed smoothly, so too the oath-taking ceremony, empowering these elected officials, all in accordance with the provisions of the law number 2019/24 of 24 December 2019 to institute the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities. But the letter dated 14 January 2021 to all governors from the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development to officially install regional executive and members of the regional bureau, many say, has no legal backing, for it is not mentioned anywhere in the general code that governors should install them. They also argue that how can the president of the regional council, who is a constituted personality with the powers to seize the constitutional council to interpret the constitution, can at the same time be tossed around to be installed by governors? Where then is the special status if constituted elected officials are being installed by appointed officials? These dissenting voices also urge that these members of the regional council were supposed to take only the oath of office, just like the members of parliament, for them to be accountable to those who elected them. For the concept of installation is for those who have been appointed, for when a person is being installed as an appointee, it shows clearly where his or her allegiance lies to the person who appointed him or her. As the Anglophone region struggle to come out of the crisis and to open the special status package, it is feared that another dust is being raised. Some say the ministerial letter is above the law, bringing a cloud on the yet to be interpreted special status to the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. The installation per the minister's letter is Friday, January 22nd, 2021.
Tourism officials in the Fako division are battling to boost the productive strength of the sector, badly affected by both the Anglophone crisis and the coronavirus pandemic. And at this time, when the African Nations Championship is going on and Limbe is one of the host towns, the authorities in that part of the country are taking some measures and actions in order to ensure that the tourism sector is productive to the country at this special moment of the African Nations Championship. Davidson Maimo reports from Limbe.
Since activities leading to the African Football Championship (CHAN) began in the Southwest region, one of the key sectors involved, but have remained if not silent, lukewarm, is the tourism sector, despite the very fact that this sector is supposed to generate huge income during such competition. This is due to the advent of COVID-19 and most importantly the ongoing Anglophone crisis that has paralyzed activities of this sector. The shutting down of the Limbe Wildlife Center from visitors due to COVID-19 and the known rehabilitation of the route leading to the tourist slave trade village at Bimbia in Limbe 3 subdivision for fear of possible attacks from separatists.
Despite of the fact that the promoters, some of them are not feeling it because of the social climates which have existed in the region for long, I think that the normal effervescence of the 2021 Shan, just at the beginning, maybe in the next 2 days, you're going to see the effervescence of the population.
However, authorities of this sector, in a meeting to evaluate their readiness, organized by the Divisional Delegation of Tourism for FACO, assured visitors that, thanks to government intervention, state-owned hotels and other hotels have been beefed up.
I've evaluated the state of the few hotels and other small hotels in town. FACO Division is ready for the Shan 2021.
Security-wise, measures against COVID-19 and the reinforcement of both hotels and state security forces doubled.
A lot has been done. We have educated them on the use of metal detectors, on the use of other devices to be able to stop any incursion in any hotel.
Everything being equal, stakeholders in the tourism sector in FACO Division are hoping that the competition brings in some income.
And the competition is ongoing. Morocco is leading against Togo by 1-0 in a Group C game of the African Nations Championship ongoing at the Bepanda Omi Sports Stadium here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. The encounter is already in the second half and the score remains 1-0 in favor of Morocco. The goal was scored at the 65th minute of play, and after Morocco versus Togo, we should have an East African debut when Uganda takes on Rwanda. Coming up, Smanjik and Gabriel makes a roundup of day one of the competition.
It is all over here at the Japoma Sports Stadium here in Douala. We had day one matches of Group B at the ongoing African Nations Championship. And the first encounter here was Libya against Niger. It ended goalless. The second game, which was the last at the Japoma Sports Complex, involved the two Congos, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Congo-Brazzaville. And it should be recalled that that game was filled with a lot of ecstasy. The supporters were present. At the end of the day, it was the Democratic Republic of Congo who actually carried the day after beating Congo-Brazzaville by 1-0. Total joy for the winning team of Florent Mbengue. And of course, the other team will be going back home to prepare their second outing here at the Japoma Sports Complex, which will be coming up on the 21st of January 2021. In Group B of the competition, it is the Democratic Republic of Congo who top with 3 points. We have Libya and Niger, 1 point. The bottom team in this group is none other than Congo-Brazzaville. Reporting at the Japoma Sports Complex for Équinoxe TV, Smart Jake and Gabriel, Raul Tabofwe.
Smanjik and Gabriel ending the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for joining us in Talking Points. Our guest today, Tingom Aaron, is a Pan-Africanist, a young entrepreneur, the first pepper tea producer in the Republic of Cameroon, CEO of Gax Enterprise, and he's joining us today. We're going to be talking about issues concerning the Anglophone crisis and the economy of the country, as well as the COVID-19. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Babila. I must say, I'm Tingum Aaron from the Northwest region. I was born and raised in Belo subdivision. That's my village of origin. Talking about the COVID COVID-19.
Before we talk about the COVID-19, you are one of the victims of the Anglophone crisis. Your equipments were set ablaze. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, Mr. Babila, I must say I had a business ambition that I think it was 2017 that I deemed it wise that entrepreneurship is the best in the whole world. That is because I went through a school where I studied small business management. That was with Cameroon OIC. I did a program with them. It is from there that I realized that entrepreneurship is the best thing in the whole world. And I had the business ambition when I created the business in 2017. Unfortunately, I based my eggs on one bucket, which was a big mistake for me, because when the crisis came, it took everything I invested in that business. It was a business that was coming to put food on people's table. I had 5 young people. I was working with them by then. I had to lose everything. But
what happened?
It was due to the crisis. I can't really explain because I wasn't in Munyenge when everything happened.
The company was based in Munyenge?
Yes, it was. My center was based in Munyenge. I was under the tax center for Moyoka. So when I learned that everything is gone, I was so depressed. And then at the same time,
everything was set ablaze.
Yes. At the same time, having the business mind, I had to consult myself because business is risks. I had to consult myself, and then I went into transformation. That is when I started the cultivation of cayenne pepper, which I saw the medicinal values in terms of hypertension, gastritis, and I went into the cultivation of this pepper. My target was to produce the tea, so that people can really drink tea in Cameroon that is made of pepper, which is a medicinal pepper. And in 2019, I succeeded to come up with the bottles, and I came out with the tea.
Right, you're already producing the tea, right?
Yes.
From 2019 right up to this moment, there are many young people like yourself who have either been forced to move out of those 2 regions, been forced to abandon the businesses. They have been crumbled by the crisis, and many of them have lost millions of francs CFA in similar circumstances. From 2017 right up to this moment, when that happened to you, what do you think about the evolution of the situation in those 2 regions and all the efforts that have been made so far so that peace can return and then people can get back to business, some people can pick up from the crumbs?
Yes, I must say, Mr. Babila, it has to start with the mentality, the change of our mentality, the belief that we can start it over. And that is what I'm telling young Cameroonians who were entrepreneurs by then, those who still want to go into everything that has happened to us. It has happened to other people, and they have been able to stable back, and they have come into business. So what I'm saying is that the first thing we need, and as a gift for our authorities and all the people involved in the peacemaking in Cameroon, what we are expecting from them as Cameroonian youths, as entrepreneurs, we need but peace. It will be the first gift for us. We don't want to talk much about what we have lost so far, because even I myself, I don't like talking about that. I have never crossed Moyoka. I'm telling you, Mr. Babila, I have never crossed Moyoka to go there because it's so painful. It is so painful because
you've not gone back since the incident occurred? Since
the incident occurred, I have never passed Moyoka, even with the chief of the tax center for Moyoka, which I tried to follow up the other day to meet him for certain things, see how I can be able to revamp that company and start my activities there in the Southwest too, as well as I'm operating in Bamenda too. It wasn't easy. So one thing I know for sure is that whatever thing that we are going through today, there is a solution for that. And the solution is going to come from the Cameroonian youth. If we are able to come up with the ideas that we can start it over again, and that our contributions will count for the peacemaking and the development of our communities, we'll be able to have our stand once again and make our country great.
You said something remarkable there. We should stop looking at what has been destroyed. You don't want to talk about what has been destroyed. You should be looking at the way forward. We should be looking at how to move forward, how tomorrow should look like. How to do that is what is apparently a little difficult for many who are still looking back and weeping over the spilled beans.
Yes, Mr. Babila, when I came in, even right now as I'm talking, you can see I'm talking with tears. It's just that a man's tears flows, but inside I would have been crying like a baby. But that is one thing. You can lost a single house, and then you will be provoked positively to build houses. That is a spirit we all need as young Cameroonians today. I have not seen any country that has created jobs for all its citizens. If we go into villages, we look at the young people who are really surviving, they are really doing great, you will realize that they are all business people. I want to say, Mr. Babila, that despite the situation of the insecurity, we have to be each other's keeper. We have to be our brother's keeper.
No, as an entrepreneur, how to pick up from the crumbs? How can somebody who's lost everything, like your example, be able to pick up from the crumbs? Not necessarily in those two regions, maybe out of the two regions. There are many young people who have been forced to move to Douala, to Yaoundé, and they're struggling to come back to the normal day-to-day businesses and so on, and it's quite difficult.
Yes, Mr. Bobby, like I said, it has to be the mentality. Because if you don't change your mentality to believe that you can start it over again, even if they give you millions, they will not do anything. Because honestly, the youths we have, most of them today, I can tell you, if you decide to share money, the only thing will be our boss. But which is not what we want to change the mentalities of the youth.
The whole money will go into beer bottles?
Beer bottles. If you share 2.5 million to each Cameroonian youth today, I want to tell you, the Guinness and Brazzaville will not be able to produce. They will not be able to cope. That is why I'm saying that people like Mr. Atem Robert there in Boya, he's our youth, Pan-African youth leader. They have been organizing conferences that will change the minds of Cameroonian youths to entrepreneurial activities. This is what we need. Secondly, we need peace from all angles. Mr. Babila, we need peace in Cameroon. We need peace from every other little angle that peace can come from. We need it. We welcome it. Because we will have a neutral ground to do our little businesses. We'll be able to pick up, because you cannot imagine.
The environment will be a little more favorable.
Yes, the environment will be favorable for us to do our farms. Yes, we even have a program that we are working on, which we'll launch it in the days ahead. One farm, one youth. One farm, one youth. We have to go back to where we started. And I want to say that the farms are still there. Even if our houses have been burned down, have been destroyed due to the crisis, even if the COVID-19 has come in and crippled a lot of businesses, I want to say that it has not crippled our farms. People are surviving in these two regions today because some people were running to the bush with their seeds. They planted maize, they planted plantains, and that is a plantain that sometimes when you are even in a village, you learn that they are shooting you. You run to the bush, you will still have something to eat. We would have been eating flesh by now. So which is a big advantage, Mr. Babila. It's a very big advantage. My target is the mentalities of Cameroonian youth. we should focus on what can move us to financial freedom. Because financial freedom, I believe, will answer the problem, all the problems in Cameroon, if the youths are financially free.
For that to happen, there has to be a paradigm shift from white-collar jobs, from offices, ties and coats and all of that stuff, into the farms, into entrepreneurship. That's what you're saying?
Yes. Mr. Babila, I must tell you that we Cameroonians youths, we are better than just having a job. We are better than working for people. You can go to each village. I don't know your other villages, but let anybody pick in his own village the 10 successful people in that village. You will realize that they are entrepreneurs. You cannot be working for somebody and the person is paying you salary and you expect that person to respect you. The only thing that we Cameroonian youths will be respected in the society is when we attain our financial freedom. Because when you do so, even the government of your country respect you. And I've seen that in other countries. You can see people like Haji Dampolo, you can see people like Dangote and the rest. Those are people who are highly respected because they are helping their governments to create jobs, to do a lot of things. Mr. Bobby, this is a sector that I am crying for the youth to focus on.
The agricultural sector.
The agricultural sector, the transformation sector. And even now as I'm talking to you, Mr. Babila, you will ask me what I studied. Let us take this, our degrees, our master degrees, let us keep them first and focus on what can give us, can generate income. Our farms are there.
Right. Our farms are there. We should go back to the farm. Our parents have often been saying that the soil never deceives.
That is the truth, Mr. Babila.
But now how to get the seed into the soil and get the fruit, that's where there's a big challenge there. All right. Tinkum Aaron, Pan-Africanist, young entrepreneur, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Mr. Babila.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. Serge Alonso is already on the seat. Equinoxe will be coming up in some few seconds.